Hi friends, it's Julie Golding Page, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, here along the tidal Scudig or St. Croix River in St. Stephen, New Brunswick, Canada. And this is the traditional territory of the Passamaquoddy. And I'm very, very grateful that they share this place with us. So today I have a project for you using the Timeless Arrangements bundle. And I've also got quite a bit of Stampin' news to share with you. I've got some new classes coming up, and there are some sales on, and all kinds of things that I want to tell you about. That'll just take a few minutes, and then we'll be right into our project. So without further ado, let's switch the camera down so you can see the project and get a little preview, a sneak peek, and then we'll get on with some of the news as well. So here goes. All right, so here is the project we're going to be doing today. And like I said, it uses the Timeless Arrangements bundle, and I'll say more about that later. But it's a fairly simple card, pretty easy make, and I hope you'll enjoy that today. But before we get to that, let's put that aside for a moment, and I will show you some of the other things that are coming up. And please let me know where you're watching from. I always like to get to know the viewers, and hopefully we can see you at a future crafting event here online. So first of all, I have a June DSP special. So there's a free DSP sampler, 12 6x6 sheets. And here's a sample of what you might get. It might not be exactly like that. It depends on whether I run out of those patterns or not. But that comes with any paid order, class registration, or Color Club purchase through June the 30th. So I'm doing this DSP special freebie to go along with something really exciting from Stampin' Up! This month, which is a DSP sale. So they don't have these kinds of sales very often, so it's always fun when they do come up. So it is a 15% off sale on select papers, and that means a bunch of them. I think there's 13 different ones to choose from, and it's on through the end of June. So that will make quite a bit of difference in your spending if you need some DSP or want to stock up for a bit later in the year. So do take advantage of that as well. And I also have some classes coming up. So here's a brand new kit that just came out, and I'm really excited to see this one. It's called the Boho Beach Kit, and it's just perfect for summer. Look at these cards, aren't they beautiful? I just like these so much. And the kits are great because you can take them right with you to the seashore, you can take them to the cottage, you can take them to the cafe, on the road, even on a plane, because everything you need to make all of the projects is right in the box. So you don't have to take a lot of complicated equipment or messy inks or anything like that to be able to do this on your holidays or when you're visiting folks. You could even share it with friends or family that you're visiting. So if you'd like to try out this kit and do it together in a class, I have all the information on my website, and I'll show you how to find that. So I'm at www.juliescraftaddict.com, and just click on online classes. I offer online classes all across Canada, so as long as you're in Canada, you can take advantage of the classes, and all the information is there on how to register, how much they cost, and so forth. And also, if you're planning to make a purchase of products online or have me order them for you, please use my host code this month, which is this one, UVEBPT9Q. And normally I provide a link that has that right in it. Unfortunately, right now, Stampin' Up! Is rolling out a new system online, and my links are not working. A number of demonstrators around the world are having this problem. So if this does not get added automatically when you click my link, all you have to do is add this in yourself. And if you're having trouble with that, just let me know. Send me a message and I can certainly help you with that. It's just one of these little technical issues that happens when they roll out a new system. My husband's a computer guy, so I understand kind of some of the stuff that goes on with these new systems. And we just have to be patient till they are able to fix that up. But there's still a way to add it in the meantime, and when you do, you will get that free DSP sampler I mentioned. when you order with me, and you'll also get a free tutorial bundle. So I'm going to show you another one of my classes that's coming up, and it uses this terrific suite. So it's called Les Shop Suite, and look at all the cute little boutiques that you can see there. We just went away for our anniversary, number 29 this year, and we were in the White Mountains of New Hampshire in the resort town of North Conway. And we did all kinds of outdoor activities. We went up to the top of the mountain there, which is the highest peak in New England, and we hiked out to a waterfall and that kind of stuff. But we also took advantage of the beautiful little boutiques in the resort town. And I just got inspired to use this particular set because isn't it fun to browse and just kind of do a little retail therapy? So we're going to be using that bundle in a class that's coming up, and there's also a club option if you want to take advantage of that, and it's called the Let's Go Shopping class. So once again, www.juliescraftaddict.com, and you can find out all the information about that class too. And the third class that I have coming up is this one, which uses the Timeless Arrangements bundle, and that's the bundle I'm going to demonstrate here today right after I tell you about this class. So it's got all kinds of different sentiments, everything from thank you in various ways, you make me smile, you're my everything. It's just got all kinds of ones focused on friendship and love and thank yous. And so it's a really nice one. It's also got these little floral bits added in. And the dies are really the pièce de résistance of this whole bundle, because you get these little labels that have these fancy dotting bits in them, and you get these. So you get all this greenery and floral stuff, and they're on these little bars, which makes it really, really easy to glue them together when you are putting them onto a label. And you'll see what I mean in just a few minutes as we use one of those. So I'm going to show you how this works. And this month, when you purchase with me, you'll also receive a free tutorial bundle. And the free tutorial bundle, oh, this is the wrong one actually. I won't show you that. But the free tutorial bundle is actually featuring this Timeless Arrangements bundle. So it'll give you all kinds of other ideas on how to use this terrific bundle. I have to say it's one I didn't even notice in the new catalog until my tutorial bundle group worked with it, and I've been really surprised with how versatile and interesting it is. I wouldn't even have noticed this bundle, but I've really enjoyed working with it so far. Now that class that I'm telling you about for Timeless Arrangements will also come with a number of other things. So it'll include coordinating embellishments, coordinating ribbon, and 24 6x6 sheets of this really fantastic DSP, which is called Delightfully Eclectic. And it has such a wonderful variety of patterns. I think it's such a useful one. And there's something for everybody. So it's not all florals. It's not all abstracts. It's got a little bit of everything, many, many colors. And so that'll be part of your class packet as well. I like these little lemons. And there's even notebook style paper. So there's a little bit of everything in there. And that makes up a $20 goodie bag. And in my club class, I also have a goodie bag worth $25. So I try to provide as much value as I can, because I know we're all kind of pinching our pennies these days. And that's what's in the class packets. So I'm going to go on and do the project now. So here is our sample. And this is really quite a simple card, but it's made to look intricate because we add all of these little elements here at the bottom especially, and then some embellishments at the top. So let's start with that. We're going to do our die cutting first, and I'm going to dig out my little mini machine here, which is going to go to the cottage with me in a couple of weeks. If you don't have one of these little minis, they are so convenient. I just really love it. I've taken it to crops, I've taken it to the cottage, and I just really like this thing because it's so small, it's so easy and portable to take on the road, and it doesn't take up much space in your luggage either, which is another really important thing. Okay, so I'm going to get out the plates here, and we are going to go ahead and cut our pieces. So here's one that we're going to do. So we're going to do these greenery bits here, and we're going to do this label as well. Okay, and I'll have all the instructions with full measurements and everything on my website after the broadcast today, and I'll post them in this particular post as well. So here is a little scrap, not very much, of basic white cardstock, and I'm just going to stick that here. And we are going to use one of these really nice little fancy labels. We're going to cut that out. I always like it when a die set comes with labels because I find you get more bang for your buck that way. Then you can use the labels with the particular set it came with, and you can also use them with really anything else you want. And I find they're the most useful piece usually in a die set, at least for me. I find I use the labels on all kinds of things. All right, so let's see what we get here. And I'll show you how nicely this cuts out because I really like it. You can't really tell from the die itself how nice it is when it cuts out. So look at that. It's even got these little X's just to make it that much more decorative. And I really like the label. So it's super simple, but it's got these little touches to it. So I'm going to put that down there. And now we're going to use some garden green cardstock, which I've pre-cut. And we are going to cut out some of that greenery from the die set. So here we go. Let's put this on. So what I cut out first for that was this large piece here. So I'm going to take that and fit it onto my page. And you can kind of fit it in there the best way to get the most out of your piece of paper. And then I also cut out 2 other pieces of greenery. So I cut out 2 of this little guy, just because it looked like these other pieces basically. See, it's kind of the same idea, but there's lots of other choices if you want to cut out something slightly different. So let's put that there and we'll be able to get more out of the same piece of paper. And you can always stick them down with some low tack tape. I just use a little piece of washi if I think they'll move, but I think I can hold this down until it gets gripped by the rollers in the machine. So I'm just going to proceed with that. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's see how they turned out. Okay, so there's one, and I'm going to use my little tool here. So this is the Take Your Pick tool. It has putty on one end to help you put on those tiny little embellishments. And the end we're going to use is the pointy end, which isn't too terribly sharp. So it doesn't damage your fingers or your paper when you poke it out through these little holes here. Let's see if we can get that to focus. There we go. So I'm just going to poke out a few of those and see if we can kind of get that started. Nope, need a few more, I guess. And poke out that little bit. Okay, so did we get it poked out enough? There, we'll lift it up from the other end. Okay, now we're in business. There we go. So we just want to pull gently. All right, so there is our greenery. And now you can see what I was saying earlier about this long bar, which looks kind of funny, but it really helps when you're going to adhere it to something. So you can put your label right over top of it like that. And you can glue it on there without any trouble. Whereas if you try to glue these tiny, tiny little pieces here, sometimes that can be a bit tricky and messy. But this, you can just put a line of glue right across and off you go. You could even use mini glue dots. That would work too. So let's see. All right, we're going to use our Take Your Pick tool again here to try to pull this one out. Okay, there's another little piece of greenery that we can use. So we've got a couple of those now. And I'm going to do one more of the same piece there. So we're going to put that back in the machine and do one more. And then our die cutting is all done. Okay, so let's put that through. There we go. I'm not seeing any comments, so I'm sorry if you're making comments and I can't respond. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I can see someone is watching. Looks like Andre. Hello. It's nice to have you join me today. All right, here we go. And we'll move all those plates and everything out of the way. And now let's poke this out. And pull that off. Just want to be gentle because you don't want to break any of it either. These little ones are kind of tricky, which is why I had this tool on hand, because it really, really helps with those tiny, tiny little things. Okay, so now we have all our greenery cut out and we have our label. So let's go on and we'll do our stamping next. I like to do the stamping as soon as I can in the project so that I don't have ink all over everywhere, and I can put the ink away before I have too many pieces around. So I'm just going to use this really old piece of cardboard. I need a piece of cardboard here because the stamp set, this timeless arrangement stamp set, is photopolymer, which means you can see through it when you're stamping, and I love that. I actually prefer that when I'm stamping greetings and small things like this, because then I can see how it's actually turning out. But the thing is, they don't come with a cushion. So this just little piece of cardboard that I got out of a kit, you can see how thick it is right there. I can use this as my cushion, and it provides that ability for the ink to transfer from the stamp into the paper really, really nicely. So I'm using this thank you stamp, just really simple. And this is all the stamping that we're going to do on this project today. I'll just move that back in the frame so you can see it. It really doesn't need much when you've got this beautiful paper and this bit of greenery behind it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to match this paper that I'm using in the background, which is Moody Mauve or Moody Mauve. It seems like in Utah, where Stampin' Up! Is headquartered, they call it mauve. I'm not sure what you call it. Maybe you can let me know in the comments. Is it mauve or mauve to you? For me, it's mauve. So I've taken to calling this color Moody Mauve Mauve or Mauve Mauve, because I'm not sure what people call it. And make sure you remember to do some conditioning on your stamp. So you just use the oils in your finger to take off the coating that comes from the factory that stays on the stamp. If you don't do that, what you'll find is it does not stamp evenly. You'll have little gaps all over, and it'll look like it's a poor quality stamp, when in fact it's just this coating that you need to get off. If you're finding that you condition it with your fingertips and that's not enough to give you a clear image, what you can do is this. Just pull out or get a hold of Versamark ink. It is an invisible kind of ink. And what you do is you just stamp right into the ink and then stamp into the color of ink that you want to use. And that should resolve that problem. So it will coat the stamp in a positive way for you so that you can use it better and get a more even image. But I found with this stamp, it was okay to just use my fingertips. But I'm happy that I have that other option on hand, because you just never know. Some stamps are harder to get to work than others. And if they have a very large area of coverage, like a big solid sun or something like that, it can be quite tricky to get them to stamp evenly when they're brand new. So I tend to use the Versamark for that. All right, so I am going to close this so I can avert disaster from my ink getting all over me and everything else. And I'm just going to show you what I do to clean my stamps in case there are folks who haven't seen this before. This is a game changer. So this is called a Simply Chamois, and it's just this foamy material. You put it under water. I use warm water, and get it so it's damp. Wring it out very gently. And then you can just stamp right into it, and you can kind of twist your stamps like that in order to get the ink off. And it cleans your stamps for you without any chemicals whatsoever. And you can just keep using it. So you can see my black ink and some other colors have kind of stained it. And I go and re-wet it and re-wring it out every once in a while. It's getting a little bit dry now, but it'll stay damp in a stamp box like this for several days. So it works really great. I think anything that will help the environment these days is a much needed innovation, and so I really like that product very much. Okay, so let's see, we've got our stamping done. We've got our die cutting done, so now we can actually put together the project. So I'm using a background card base of thick white, and I like to use this thick white because it gives it a little additional body, especially if you want the card to stand up or you're putting on multiple layers. So that's when I like to do that. So I just used my bone folder. That's another thing to mention. These retail for $9.75. I've had mine for about 25 years, and it's just the best thing to get a really crisp fold. I use it for lots of things outside of card making too. Okay, let's put these all in the frame so you can see them. There we go. So I'm going to take my Moody Mauve paper here, and I'm going to adhere to it this daisy cutout. And this comes from the Fresh as a Daisy paper. So let me show you what that paper looks like, because it's one of my favorites of the new ones that have come out. And it is one of the ones on sale for 15% off. So my little daisy cutout here came from this page that has all these little mini cards. So that makes your card making super simple because you've got all these little mini cards to pick from. And on the back, you have that Moody Mauve color as well. Here's some other patterns in the set. So this beautiful daisy paper, this one as well. I really like this one too. The colors are just fantastic. And there's another one that has green in it, but it's quite different from this other daisy one. And this one that has the Moody Mauve. Now this one I find really interesting. It has Moody Mauve in the background, and then it has a touch of Copper Clay, which is one of the new in colors. And then it's got this Bubble Bath color, which is a new pinkish toward the lavender spectrum. And then you've got this Wild Wheat color. And so I find that a really interesting combination that works very well. I wouldn't have thought to put those together, but I like them very much. And then on the back, you've got some plain ones to work with, just kind of distressed look. So you can combine all these together to make all kinds of beautiful things. But today, all we need is just this little piece that we're going to use. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to put that onto the mauve background. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put that on there, and then I'm going to use the Stampin' Dimensionals to add that to my background. So I've got a new set of them here, and I like to put one in each corner and then one in the middle. So there we go. We'll put those on right away, and then it's a matter really of just layering on all of the other pieces of the card. So it's really a super simple one when you have the bundle to work with. All right, let's try to get that sort of in the middle. You could measure if you're so inclined. I find I can usually kind of eyeball it and just make it the way I want. All right, so now we're going to layer on all these pieces here. So the first thing that we need to do is to adhere our die cuts all together. So I'm just going to move that out of the way a little bit so we have space to do that. And here's how we're going to do it. So first of all, because I'm using a bow on that side, I am actually going to cut off this little piece here because we won't be able to see it and it might interfere with the ribbon. So I'm just going to take that little bit off and put that in the bin. And then I'm going to dig out my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm just going to put a very light line of glue across there. So there's the beauty of that little bar that looks so funny on the die cut, but actually is super useful. So I'm going to put that on. Just going to kind of line that up, and it doesn't have to be perfectly lined up. These are pretty forgiving, these little die cuts. Okay, so I've got that, but as you can see on my sample, I have some greenery in there and over on the end. So now we have to place those on as well. Okay, so let's see, maybe we want one kind of down a little bit on that side. Yeah, that would be good. And here's a little secret I like to use. I'm just using plain old household tape. So just tape, and I'm going to just tape that on, and it'll hold it in place without having to deal with any kind of messy glue. And it doesn't take much to hold it on because it's just a tiny little thing. And so that's what I like to do to hold those things on. All right, and then this one, we'll have it going kind of up in that direction. So we'll turn it over. And again, I'm going to just use a little bit of tape on there. You could use your liquid glue if you prefer, but since the stem is just so thin, I find the tape works just fine and it keeps it on there. So there, we've got that all adhered together. Now we can bring our things back down and we can adhere that to our card. Okay, so I'm going to use dimensionals to do that. Here we go. There's just a couple of them. You can put one in the middle as well if you want. I find the two on either end, because this is such a small piece, work quite well by themselves. So I'm going to put that there. And as you can see here, I've got a little bow, and I was running out of this ribbon. So I actually created the bows in advance to make sure that I had enough, because I ran completely out with making these two bows. But I wanted to mention this ribbon. This is a ribbon combo. It is garden green and real red. I think it might be listed as real red and garden green ribbon combo. And you get 5 yards of each color, which is really fantastic at Christmas time. And as you can see, it's useful any time of year because you can use these colors in so many things. And so I really like that ribbon combo because you get the 2 colors. And it's really super nice to work with. I like this ribbon. It's 3/8 of an inch, which is my preferred width of ribbon if I'm making bows. I find it works really well for them. And so I recommend that ribbon for sure. And I will make sure that you have a clickable photo supply list on my website, on my blog post that describes this whole project and how to make it with the measurements. So it'll list everything in picture form that I've used here today so that you can find it online if you would like to purchase any of those items. All right, so I am going to just cut off a tiny piece there, just to trim that up a little bit because it's slightly too long. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just carefully, there we go, so that it will fit in the envelope. I don't want it to go over the edge of my card or it won't fit in the envelope or it'll get all kind of bent. So that's how it looks so far. And there's only one step left, and that's to add these little embellishments. And I'm really happy to use these ones because I like them so much. These are the 2023 to 2025 in color dots. So they include the 5 in colors. And what I'm finding is they match almost every project that I'm working on. So this is boho blue, but it matches a variety of blues. This is copper clay, but also goes with a number of brownish kind of hues. This is the Moody Mauve, but it also goes nicely on pink projects as well. You could use that up here if you wanted to instead of this color. This is the Wild Wheat, and it goes with a variety of yellows. And then, of course, this is Pebbled Path, and it's gray. So it goes with many things, too. So I really like these particular dots. As you can see, I've used a bunch of the Wild Wheat ones already because they're so shiny. They just look really spectacular on a project. And they look more yellowish than the Wild Wheat color would suggest. So I've just found them to be super useful. So let's put them on, and I'll just do what I did on my sample card. So there's one. I put the largest one. They come in 3s with 3 sizes. So there's number 1. That's the smallest size right there. So I'm going to just stick it down. That's the only thing. You want to just press them down a bit so that you're sure that they're actually stuck on there. And then I'm going to take the middle size and put it down here on the bottom right. And the reason that I'm doing that is I've used 3, which is an odd number, and I find that odd numbers are the ones that are recommended and work the best in design. And it draws your eyes down because it's a triangle. So these 2 lead you down to the 1. So here is our project. So very simple. Anybody could make this card. It's really not a hard one to do. And I hope you enjoyed it today. So do check back later on www.juliescraftaddict.com. You can find all of my classes available across Canada and all other information about the services I provide. And you can also come back and find all the links to everything that I've done here today. So thanks so much for joining me, and have a wonderfully crafty week. Bye for now.